let's try this again. God dang it, man. Thank you. What is going on with the audio? Why does it not want to stay on? I'm going to have to look into this later. Thank you. God dang it. Let's start over. Hey, everybody. John here from FNP Wargamers. Is the FNP Morning Show. Now with sound working, we can actually cover this. Jeez Louise, man. What is going on with audio? It drops or the cameras drop. I might just have to totally, which is going to really suck, so all the settings I have. I might have to uninstall and then reinstall Streamlabs because I've been having a lot of issues with it lately. And it's all after the last update. Oh, well, we're not going to go into that right now. Let's talk about lots of gaming news or lack of gaming news. So as I was saying before I realized that I had no audio and you guys couldn't hear all the amazing leaks and truthful things that I've passed on, but I realized that I can't pass those on now, so I can't repeat them because I'll get in trouble. Just kidding. Let's do a quick kind of recap of what I was going over. Most companies out there, Fantasy Flight Games, Warlord, Privateer Press, they haven't been putting out a lot, and they're still not. They've been very slow on their news. Games Workshop and Atomic Mass Games and kind of Malifaux have been very engaging in regards to their product, their games, and whatnot. And that's really all a sign of the pandemic that's going on. How it's hurt the businesses, slow down production, all that stuff. So once again, we're very light on news, but we got some interesting news we will cover today, or I will cover, and do a little bit of speculation for tomorrow morning's show. So let's, you know what? There is another company I should talk about. And that'll probably be a Monday, once I get my hands on the new edition. Infinity, over at Corvus Belli, the Infinity line of miniatures and game has a new edition, and they got a host of new models coming out. I'm trying to get my hands on the rule set so I can review it and see if I want to dive back in to Infinity. One of the things that initially turned me off is just how long it takes to play the game. With 10 to 15 models, taking about 2.5, sometimes 3 hours, 10 to 15 models, where Games Workshop, you're looking at 50 to 60 models in about 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours. This new edition looks like it is definitely about 2.5 hours. So that's one of the things that's turned me off, and it just takes so long just to do activate one character. You have to activate the character, the opponent gets to respond, then you activate the character a second time, the opponent gets to respond, and then they do their response to their response, you might have another character that can respond to that character's responding. It just gets a little crazy. So I've been a little reluctant to get back into it. Maybe 4th edition, N4, maybe they've cleaned that up. Maybe it's a lot faster playing, which is one of the biggest turnoffs. If I'm going to be playing a small 10 to 15 man skirmish game, I don't want to be playing for 2.5, 3 hours. I'd like to get the game over in about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. That's why I like Marvel Crisis Protocol, where, mind you, you're only using between really about 5 models, but 4 to 6, it looked like now, since the roster is getting bigger and bigger. Those games are over in about an hour, sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on how bad you roll and how bad you play. But I digress. So I'll do a review next week, hopefully, if I do secure that copy of the N4 rules. That way I'll have something to be able to review over the weekend and read while I'm on my golden throne. Now, in regards to Games Workshop, a lot of small stuff is still happening, which I've been talking about for the past week and a half, and then a big thing. So let's talk about the small first. They are continuing to crank out all their specialist games. That includes Blood Bowl, Aeronautica Imperialis, Necromunda, Underworlds, Kill Team, and Warcry. I think that's all of them. And Adeptus Titanicus. Well, they slowed down a little bit on Adeptus Titanicus, but right now, Underworlds and Blood Bowl are really taking center stage. and just with some new releases coming out. So that's really cool. We're happy with that. That makes a lot of the people that don't care about the big games, that makes them happy. We're not going to go over too much of that, but I do want to point out that House of Blades, Clan Escher, is going to be the newest rule set that's going to be coming out, or maybe it's this weekend or next weekend. What I can tell right now about the rule set, besides Escher's being really quick, their rule set for that's coming out, it looks like they are a DOT style, going to be DOT style army, damage over time style. Those of you who play video games, mainly they inflict a lot of bleed effects or toxic effects, status effects. There we go. They apply lots of status effects. They're a quick army. They don't hit as hard, but they make up for it with all the extra little poisons and toxins and everything else that they can inflict, and of course bleed effects and whatnot. So yeah, they might, the ladies of the Underhive might not be able to hit as hard as the Goliaths, but when they are hitting, they are doing a hell of a lot of damage, paralyzing people, poisoning them. It's just, they're really a solid, fast army, and since they aren't as big and as tough, you're going to be able to field more than a lot of the male-only armies, or warbands such as Goliaths. I think I was looking at 12 to 10 models, 12 versus 10 models. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but in a small skirmish game, 1 or 2 extra models can really make a difference. Okay, so real quick, we're jumping over before we get into the big news-ish. I was a little excited because there's like, hey, new stuff coming from Forge World. Pre-orders are going to be up, and I was like, thank God. Road to Thramas, Book 9 was coming out, finally. And, Horus Heresy crowd can finally get their book, and we can start moving forward. But, no. Sorry, guys. What they have done is yet another set of bolters. Another set of 10 bolters for no reason. We got so many of these different types of bolters out there, but these are new and improved bolters, so that makes all the difference. All the difference. I don't know why. And then new sets of power weapons and arms for if you are running Tartarus pattern Terminators. Yay, another set of those. Cool. Or it's just a reprint or repackaging. I don't know. I really, very frustrating. And then I saw the books and I got excited, so I was finally Book 9. But as I read it, it was Book 1 and Book 5. Really weird. I don't know what the history is behind why they skipped over reprinting all the other books in that black faux leather binding and everything, or hardback. What reason why they're reprinting 1 and 5, why they're doing this all out of order. I don't know what the reasoning behind this is. There must be, I'm assuming that there's something wrong in regards to maybe the books weren't properly stocked when they first came out, and a lot of people missed out on them or something. I am not sure, but they jumped from Book 1 to Book 5, and then that's it. That's the pre-orders. So it's not a lot. That's very, very disappointing that that's the Forge World pre-order this weekend. Now, that's not going to be the Games Workshop pre-order, but it is Forge World's pre-order in regards to Horus Heresy. I still think it's a little blah, but whatever. Who am I? Just some guy. So, and before we get into the big news, I just wanted to check to see if there was any update while we're sitting here listening to me ramble. It looks like Azure, the app, basically the Warhammer 40,000 app for Age of Sigmar, or I should say the precursor to the Warhammer 40,000 app, looks like it's got an update with all the new point values and everything from the General's Handbook. So that's cool. The Warhammer 40,000 app just got an update another day ago or so. New ways to find your rules and some feedback information. So it just looks like everything has gotten updates. It's nothing significant. We're still waiting. Well, we're waiting on a lot of stuff to happen. Crusade, more rules for the Warhammer 40,000 app, like maps and stuff. So we don't have everything, but it is all finally in the process. It's, in my personal opinion, it's a poor launch. It's, this is not the type of app that should have been, should have been affected by the pandemic, provided that the people working on the app weren't sick. This is something that you could literally work on from home, and you don't have to be at the office. So why they did not roll this app out, a fully developed, fully completed app right at the beginning, I don't know. This is it's very bad optics, but Games Workshop has so many hits that this little miss right here, most people are going to ignore, and they're just going to roll with it. That's not too bad, I guess, in the long run. To me, I think it's still piss poor, and I think it should be properly reviewed. I don't think anybody should let Games Workshop off the hook for this bad launch, but they're not going to apologize. They're not going to say, hey, this is where we messed up, we'll do better next time. They're just going to do better next time, which I do like that. And in a way, they have apologized. In a way, if you were lucky enough to download this before July 28th, I believe it was, or 29th, you got a month for free if you had already downloaded it and subscribed. So, I mean, hey, cool, thank you, but for once, I would just wish Games Workshop would just come out and say, look, we screwed up, we fixed it. But that's also that also comes down to branding and economics and stuff that I don't understand. Maybe you don't want to admit that you made a mistake, and you just move forward and correct it, and everybody will be happy. All the hubbub and people complaining about it or reporting on it, like myself, well, we'll just get lost in the shuffle. Nobody's going to care. No biggie. So let's get on to the big-ish news. So preview tomorrow. I will be doing a live show at 7:45 a.m. or starting at 7:45 a.m. here on FNP Wargamers. I'm going to try to get it to where Havoc Maker Studio will be doing a host, so you can watch on either one. So the preview is Shadow, Iron, and Broken Realms. And I'm suspecting, since we're covering, I think, 6 different game systems, we are going to probably be an hour to an hour and a half preview. My guess is they're going to squeeze it into an hour. I think they can do that. Best case scenario, or I mean, not best case, but with a very strong, I would say, strong possibility, we're going to see about an hour and a half long preview. Now, let's go over my predictions real quick here, and we'll revisit these predictions in the morning, because I might get a data dump tonight that says, hey, here's what's coming. So first, let's address Necromunda and Warcry and Underworlds. I don't think we're going to see necessarily the war bands or gangs that we have seen. We saw in April to May with the Adepticon previews 1, 2, and 3. Now we might see a little bit, say, under the Warcry, because there was 2 Warcry warbands that we only saw about 3 or 4 images of. So we might finally see the entire warbands. That might be what they're going to reveal to us in regards to Warcry, and that's where my guess is lying. It will be the full realization of those warbands, either one or both of those 2. Warhammer Underworlds, I think it'll be a sneak peek of that'll include the last. I think there's one more, the Beastgrave. That's the current season of Warhammer Underworlds. I think we're going to see one more of those warbands, if my math is correct. And then the biggest thing is the preview for the next season is really where what we're going to be looking at for Warhammer Underworlds, which is going to feature essentially the undead. I forget what it's going to be called. The GW had previewed it, and then it's been radio silent. And this is where we're going to see the OCR Bone Reapers finally get their warband for Warhammer Underworlds, and of course there'll be probably a new Stormcast Eternal, probably a new undead one for the, not vampire counts, the Carrion Empire, I think that's what they're called, or the Flesh Eater Courts, and probably a new one for, oh, why can't I think of it? The other undead, the Spooky Ghosts. It'll come to me after the show. We'll get into that then, or I'll just, I don't know what I'm trying to say right now. So Necromunda, I don't think we're necessarily going to see all the new Escher stuff, because we've already seen those previews. So why bother previewing previews? I think what we're going to see is the Van Sars and the Orlocks, one or both. We'll see that their books and their new miniatures for their kind of expansion units, because every gang right now is getting basically a codex, and they're getting 2 units, and I think in some whispers that there's going to also be some new HQ choices coming out, but that's going to be via Forge World. Games Workshop will be cranking out a couple new plastic kits. And, of course, the codex and cards and dice, the same thing. So, Orlok is probably a shoe-in, and we might see a hint of the Van Sars. But that'll probably be it for Necromunda, Warcry, and Warhammer Underworlds. Those would be quick previews of 1 to 2 warbands or gangs of each, and that'll be it. So, Horus Heresy. A lot of people think that it's going to be Road to Thramas, but I don't think so. I think there will be a possibility of Road to Thramas, but we've already seen those previews repeatedly since Las Vegas Open at the beginning of the year, all the way through the Adepticon releases and even on the Warhammer community page. So I don't think so. I think what we're going to see is the final. We should see 2 things. First, the con. Chakati Khan, the Primark of the 5th Legion, the White Scars. I think we're going to see him. I think we're going to see either his fully realized miniature, or we might see some design sketches and or some pre-sculpts. Who knows what they're going to do. And I think the other thing we will see is the cover or the announcement for the Siege of Terra. I think if I'm doing the math correctly, we're caught up with everything except for starting the Siege of Terra. Now, the Siege of Terra right now is going on in the novels from the Black Library, and that is around 8 books right now. It's 8 books. I think that's what's slated. And then I'm sure they're going to toss in an audio drama. They tend to do stuff like that. They probably already got that released. But the Siege of Terra is ongoing. I think we're on book 3 right now, so there's finally something that was it was slated in 2014. It's now 2020, 6 years later, 60 some odd books. Who knows how many audiobooks and dramas or not audiobooks, but audio dramas and short stories later and anthologies. I don't even know where we're at in the grand scheme of things, but this is the largest, as far as I can tell, the largest, most consistent or cohesive history or a sci-fi tale or space opera or whatever novel series ever. I wouldn't be surprised if they get into the Guinness Book of World Records for having this massive story undertaking. I don't know. So I think what we're going to see is, let me get this back around to the preview here, is this Horus Heresy preview, besides maybe seeing Jakati Khan. God, wouldn't it be awesome if we also saw the Emperor model? We do know that the Emperor model, or at least the Emperor, will be a fieldable unit. We have the rules that say if the Emperor is on the field, then this happens. So we know that's coming. And we also know from the beginning, Forge World said we're doing 20 Primark size models, and right now, with the exception of Jakati Khan, and we've got all the Primarks. Except for the 2nd, 11th Legion. We're not going to see those. And they said Primark size. My guess is Primark size includes Constantine Baldur, the the head honcho for the Adeptus Custodes. He is a massive model. So that's my guess. Or those last 2 models to make it 20 models will be the Emperor, and more than likely, not demon, but fully realized or risen or ascended Horus. I think that's what we'll see. Those 2 models, that's likely what we're going to see in this. So, but we're not going to see that right now, I don't think. I think we're going to see Jakati Khan and the first of probably, my guess is, 2 to 3 books for the Siege of Terra. And it's all tied in with the novel release. Now, that'll be going on a few years after I think all the novels are dropped. I think the novels are supposed to be done 2022. I think that's what it was slated. Unless they all of a sudden pick up the pace, I think that the Forge World books will drop either right at or right after the last novel. So that's my prediction for Horus Heresy is Jakati Khan and the naming of the Siege of Terra's first book. All right, so let's get on to the big boys. I'm going to go with Warhammer 40,000 first. They're the new boys or they're not the new boys, but they're on their 9th edition. They're really hot right now, so we're going to focus on them. And then we'll finish off with probably big, massive, titanic news for Age of Sigmar. All right, so Warhammer 40,000, 9th edition. Lots of controversies. Lots of just, you know what? Stay away from Facebook, Reddit, Twitter. Well, probably not Twitter, but Facebook groups and Reddit, 4chan, whatever it is you look to, you read all the different articles and the comments, because I would say a vocal minority are just being nasty. There's a tiny minority, just like anything else out there, that are creating a toxic environment, which is totally uncalled for. Now, Games Workshop has put out a fantastic edition. They have expanded their creativity just by looking at the Necrons and the Primark Space Marines that came out for this edition. And it is a clarion call. I don't know if that's the right word. It is a bright, brilliant light, the signal saying, hey, big, badass things are coming. Everybody is going to get something. We're already changing all the rules. Everybody's going to be on the same level. We're going to be upping the balance, because this bolter is the same as that bolter. This flamer is the same as that flamer. Meltaguns are meltaguns. Everybody's going to have a balance with similar weapons. So that means Xenos, Chaos, and the Imperials. So yay, that's awesome. I think, and a lot of people have already I've been watching some of the chats, Warhammer 40,000 preview this weekend, it's going to show off just Necrons and Primaris. I don't think so, with one caveat. So let me do the caveat first. We know that there are at least 2 Space Marine units that have not been revealed yet. A new type of captain and a vehicle still out there. Will we see those previews this weekend? It's a possibility. It is definitely possible. And there are rumors that there is at least one more Necron model that has not been revealed is going to be revealed this weekend. What that means, I don't know. I think that if we're going to see anything, it'll be that to show off the last bit of all the new models coming for Necrons and Space Marines. But that is not the big reveal for Warhammer 40,000 9th edition. I think we're going to get the previews of who is going to be the next 1 or 2 releases. We're going to get the previews of the first of the, or after Space Marines and Necrons, who's going to be slated to come out next. My personal opinion, some based on information I've received and some on just some guesswork, is Adeptus Custodes and Chaos Space Marines. I think those 2 are going to be coming first. In regards to one of those, the Adeptus Custodes, it was passed on to me they were going to be one of the first, if not the first, codex for 9th edition. We know now that they are not the first codex, but that doesn't mean that they can't be one of the first. So my guess is the first, within the first 3 codexes, that's where they're going to be popping up. And then, of course, Chaos Space Marines of some flavor. My guess is Chaos Space Marines in general will get their book, and it'll be along the same lines as the Codex Space Marines. They're going to get one book to rule them all, and then we're going to see supplements just like Ultramarines and just what they're doing with Space Marine, all the main Space Marine chapters, including the Death Watch. Everybody's going to be getting a supplement. I think Chaos Space Marines will be doing the same thing. So we're going to see Chaos Space Marines and Adeptus Custodes. I think that's my personal guess, but you put my personal guess off to the side of what it's going to be. I think the actual reveal will be who's next slated to be revealed. We'll see. 7:45 tomorrow morning. I'm going to be covering this all bleary-eyed, and I'm going to be tired as hell because I'm going to be saving New York City and Washington, D.C. tonight on Division 2. We're going to be streaming that over on my other channel, Havoc Maker Studio. All right, so let's get on to Warhammer Age of Sigmar. I've saved the best for last because let's face it, Warhammer 40,000 owes a lot to Age of Sigmar right now. 8th edition and 9th edition owes a debt of gratitude to Age of Sigmar, because Age of Sigmar has, after their kind of disastrous initial launch, after that first year and a half way back in the day, 2012, 2013 timeframe, after that kind of disastrous launch, they got that first General's Handbook out. Warhammer Age of Sigmar went from being a dead game pretty much and fantasy to being one of the fastest growing games in Warhammer or Games Workshop's history. Within 1 year of that General's Handbook, it shot up like it's either 32 or 42% in sales. They're one of the Age of Sigmar is one of the top selling products by next to Warhammer 40,000, but popularity wise and ease of play and the wonderful, beautiful community that they have, it's just so inviting. And Warhammer 40,000 fans and players, gamers, hobbyists, give thanks to Age of Sigmar. Just, say a prayer tonight, or when you're at dinner, say, "And Lord, thank you for Age of Sigmar giving us a better Warhammer 40,000 and better miniatures," because Age of Sigmar was the test bed for everything. So that's not what I want to preview, though. What I'm thinking the preview is going to be is a two-parter. First, it's going to be the announcement of when Sons of Behemoth are going to drop. We're going to see, we've already seen the models. We're going to see the Battle Tome. If there is endless spells, which I doubt, but there could be endless spells. And any other things that are going to go alongside with it, including War Scroll cards. I also believe that we are going to see who is going to be the next Battle Tome, which will be not next Battle Tome. Next Battle Tome, because Soul Wars. Okay, I guess maybe I have two opinions. So whoever's going to be the next army release, which will have upgraded units, I really don't have a solid guess because I just now starting to get an Age of Sigmar. The other thing I think is going to happen is we're going to get an announcement maybe for a new box edition, which is usually reserved for the summer, but maybe that might be